Good morning, Year 10. Hopefully you've completed the 2 bits of work on circles and then compound shapes. Please make sure when you submit the work that you've marked it on the sheet that you then take a photo of or upload to me, and then you tell me what your score is in the comments, please. Today we're going to be looking at the volume of a prism. Now remember, that is on our formula sheet, and the volume of a prism is the cross section times by the length. So all the way through today we're going to use that formula of cross section times by the length. 2 types of questions today. We've got our cuboids, they're the first 12, and then we've got triangular prisms for the last 8. So I'm going to give you one example. All the ones at the top are all the same format, but I'm going to pick a slightly more difficult one down the bottom. I'm going to do question 11. Now it's slightly more difficult for one reason only, and that's because all my units are different. So I've got millimetres, centimetres and millimetres. Now if we're working out a volume, we've got to make sure all our units are the same. So the first thing I'm going to do is, instead of that being 3 centimetres, I'm going to change it to 30 millimetres. If you need to look up your measurement conversions, please use Google or something like that. Okay, but lots of these questions from question 7 onwards have the unit conversions that have to be done. Now the first thing I'm going to look at is which bit is my cross section. So that's going to be the shape that goes all the way through. Now for each question I do, I'm going to highlight that or colour it in some way, and we can see here that it's this end that goes all the way through the shape. Think about a stick of rock, and so this end is going to be the first bit. So I'm going to work out my cross section first. Now my cross section is just a rectangle. If you need to draw it, that's absolutely fine, because it gives you a clue of what you've got to do. It's 22 millimetres there, and I need to know the height. Now this is a cuboid, so all my heights are the same. So that's going to be 18 millimetres there, which means I'm doing 22 times 18. I chuck that into my calculator. 22 times 18, and I get 396. Remember, if that's a decimal, we don't round it yet. Then my volume is my cross section, which is 396, times by my length, how long it is. So I times that by 30, again put it into my calculator, and I get an answer of 11,880, and then I need my unit. Now it's a volume this time, so it's millimetres cubed. I'll check that answer. If I've got that answer right, what I'd like you to do on your sheet is, using your purple pen or your green pen, you mark it correct, and then at the end you can count up your score and give me an overall score. Second part of our sheet today is triangular prisms, and again I'm going to do one example. The example we'll do this time is number 10, so you should be getting that one right whatever happens. Now the first thing I've got to do is I've got to think about my units again. 80 centimetres, 60 centimetres and 1 metre. I can choose to either make that 1 metre into 100 centimetres, or if I wanted to, I can change my centimetres here into metres, so I could do 0.8 and 0.6, and the answer sheet does give both in the answer, but to keep it easy I'm going to change that one to 100 centimetres. Now first thing remember we have to do is our cross section, and we should have practiced our triangles just yesterday. Some of you I saw and you did questions 1 to 5 or questions 1 to 6 and said it's got a bit hard here. I'm afraid you need to go back and look at that in more detail. Use BBC Bite Size, use MathsWatch, use the video I've created. You need to be answering every question, please. If you're having difficulties, you should be sending me a question of how to help you, and well done to the 2 or 3 people that did just that. So my cross section this time is a triangle, and remember that from our sheet the other day, to work out the area of a triangle, we've got a half times base times height. So it's a half times my base, which is 60, times my height, which is 80. Remember, for triangles like this, it is the perpendicular height. You don't worry about the diagonals at the side. So we get our calculator out and we do a half times 60 times 80. I can either use 0.5 on my calculator, or I can use the half and use the fraction button. I get an answer of 2,400. Volume then, to finish it up, I've got 2,400 times by my length, which is 100. Type that into my calculator and I get 240,000, and it's going to be centimetres cubed. Now you could do that with metres and get the same answer, but you'd have an answer in metres there. Once you've done it, check your answer on the back. So that was question 10. I can go to question 10 and it'll give me an answer of 240,000 centimetres cubed. I check my answer, I check that I've got the right units, I'm going to tick it, and in the end you're going to be held to hand in a score out of 20 to me when you submit the piece of work. Any questions, please leave me a message on Google Classroom and I'll get back to you. Have a good day, Year 10.